One of the most common things I hear from my patients after the age of 60 is this: Doctor, I keep misplacing my glasses or forgetting why I walked into a room. Does that mean I'm losing my memory? And I always smile and say, You're not alone. We all forget little things now and then. Maybe you've noticed yourself struggling to recall a name that used to come instantly, or you find yourself double checking the stove more often. That can feel unsettling. But here's the good news: memory changes are a normal part of aging, and there's a big difference between occasional forgetfulness and serious memory loss. Think about it this way: just like our muscles need exercise to stay strong, our brain needs attention and care to stay sharp. The truth is, you have far more power than you might realize when it comes to protecting your memory. I've seen seniors who, well into their 70s and 80s, still read, play chess, take on new hobbies, and recall details with amazing clarity. And it's not by accident. It's by practicing certain habits consistently. Today, I want to talk with you about the proven, practical ways you can strengthen your brain, prevent memory decline, and feel more confident in your daily life. Welcome, my friends. I'm so glad you're here today. If you've been worried about memory loss, or if you simply want to stay mentally sharp and independent as you grow older, this video is for you. By the time we finish, you'll understand not just why memory changes happen, but also what you can actively do about it. I'll walk you through daily habits you can start today, simple steps that don't require expensive supplements or complicated routines. We'll talk about how your lifestyle, diet, sleep, and even your hobbies can make a real difference in how well your brain works. I'll also share some reflections from seniors I've worked with over the years who have successfully kept their minds engaged and alert. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's explore together how you can protect your memory and keep your mind thriving. Let's start with one of the most powerful ways to protect memory: staying physically active. Movement increases blood flow not just to your muscles, but also to your brain. When you walk, dance, or even do light stretching, you're delivering oxygen and nutrients that your brain cells depend on. I often tell my patients, every step you take is like fuel for your mind. I know seniors who started a simple walking routine in their neighborhood and later told me, Doctor, I feel clearer, sharper, and more energetic. That's no coincidence. Now, let's talk about food, because what you put on your plate has a direct connection to how your brain performs. Diets rich in leafy greens, berries, nuts, fish, and whole grains support brain health. Think of blueberries as little brain boosters. They contain antioxidants that help protect your memory. I once had a patient who swapped out cookies for a small bowl of mixed berries each evening, and within weeks, she told me she felt more alert during her crossword puzzles. That's the power of small changes. Another essential habit is sleep. I can't emphasize this enough. Good sleep is when your brain organizes and stores the information you've taken in throughout the day. Without it, your memory suffers. I've had patients who thought they had serious memory problems, but after improving their sleep by sticking to a bedtime routine, limiting caffeine late in the day, and keeping their bedroom dark and quiet, their memory improved dramatically. Stress management also plays a critical role. Chronic stress floods your brain with hormones that interfere with memory. I know many of you may carry worries about family, health, or finances, but learning simple relaxation practices like deep breathing or even 5 minutes of meditation each day can calm your mind and preserve memory. One gentleman I know began practicing deep breathing before bed. Within weeks, not only did he feel calmer, but he noticed his recall during conversations improved. Social connection is another key piece of the puzzle. Isolation can weaken memory, while engaging conversations and meaningful relationships keep your brain stimulated. I often encourage my patients to join community groups, take a class, or simply call an old friend. I had one patient who joined a book club at 72. She told me that not only did her memory improve, but her days became brighter and more fulfilling. And finally, never stop learning. Your brain thrives on challenge. Whether it's picking up a new hobby, learning to play an instrument, or even just trying puzzles and word games, the act of stretching your mind builds new pathways. I remember a retired teacher who started learning Spanish in her 60s. She laughed and said, I might never be fluent, but I feel like my brain woke up again. All of these habits, movement, nutrition, rest, stress relief, social connections, and lifelong learning work together to create a powerful shield against memory loss. One area we often overlook when it comes to memory is hydration. You might not think of water as brain fuel, but dehydration, even mild dehydration, can make you feel foggy and forgetful. Many seniors I meet tell me they just don't feel thirsty, so they end up drinking far less water than their body needs. I usually suggest carrying a reusable water bottle around the house as a reminder. One of my patients in her 70s started keeping a glass of water by her favorite armchair and another by her bedside. She later laughed and said, "Doctor, I never realized how much clearer my mind feels when I'm not running on empty." Another powerful memory tool is engaging all your senses. The more senses you use when learning something new, the more connections your brain makes. For example, if you're trying to remember a recipe, don't just read it. Say the steps out loud, smell the spices, and visualize the dish. This layering of experiences strengthens recall. I often tell my patients, make your memories richer and they'll last longer. Let's also talk about routine. Your brain loves patterns and consistency. Setting up daily habits like putting your keys in the same place, following a bedtime schedule, or having a morning ritual reduces the mental strain of small decisions and frees up your brain power for more important things. I know a gentleman who used to constantly misplace his car keys. Once he started placing them in a bowl by the front door every single time, he not only stopped losing them, but he also felt less stressed overall. Now, while building habits is powerful, so is breaking out of routines. Variety challenges your brain. Something as simple as brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand, taking a different route on your walk, or cooking a new dish introduces novelty that keeps your brain active. I had a retired nurse who started painting in her 70s, and she told me, "It's like I discovered a whole new part of myself I didn't know was waiting." That joy of discovery directly nourishes brain health. And here's something many people underestimate: laughter, joyful moments, humor, and even watching a funny show release feel-good chemicals that reduce stress and strengthen memory. I once visited a senior community where they held a weekly laughter yoga class. Believe it or not, the participants reported not only feeling happier, but also remembering things more easily. The science backs that up. Happiness is fuel for a healthy brain. Technology, too, can be your ally. I encourage seniors not to shy away from using calendars, reminders, or smartphone alarms. Tools don't mean weakness, they mean wisdom. A woman I worked with began using her phone to set reminders for her medications and appointments. She told me, "Doctor, it feels like I've got an extra brain in my pocket." That sense of support boosted her confidence tremendously. Now, I want to pause here and encourage you to reflect. Think of one simple change you could make today: a short walk, an extra glass of water, or maybe calling a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Which of those feels doable right now? Start there, because protecting your memory isn't about perfection. It's about small, consistent steps that add up over time. Let's talk about the connection between heart health and memory, because the two are more closely linked than most people realize. Your brain depends on a steady flow of oxygen-rich blood. If your heart and blood vessels are struggling, your memory can suffer. That's why habits like staying active, eating heart-healthy foods, and managing blood pressure are so important. I remember a patient in his late 60s who came in worried about forgetfulness. We worked on lowering his blood pressure through diet and daily walks, and within months he told me, "I feel sharper, like a fog has lifted." Sometimes improving memory isn't about the brain alone, it's about supporting the whole body. Another overlooked factor is vision and hearing. If you can't clearly hear or see, your brain has to work overtime just to process information, leaving less energy for storing memories. I encourage regular eye exams and hearing checks. One woman I knew resisted hearing aids for years, thinking they were unnecessary. When she finally got them, she laughed and said, "Doctor, I can actually follow conversations again, and I remember them." Her memory improved, not because her brain changed, but because the information coming in became clearer. Now let's touch on something very human: emotions. Depression and anxiety can feel like they cloud your memory, and they truly do. When your mood is low, your brain struggles to focus and store information. If you've noticed more forgetfulness during times of sadness or stress, it doesn't necessarily mean your memory is failing. It may mean your heart and spirit need attention too. Talking with loved ones, joining a support group, or speaking with a professional can lighten that emotional load, and in turn, your memory often brightens as well. There's also strong research showing that gratitude strengthens the brain. Taking a moment each day to write down, or even just think about three things you're grateful for, creates a positive mental shift. I had a patient who began keeping a small gratitude journal by her bedside. Each night, she wrote down three blessings from her day. After a few months, she told me not only did her sleep improve, but her memory for daily details became sharper. Gratitude has a way of rewiring the mind. And don't underestimate the role of music. Songs from your younger years have a unique ability to light up memory pathways. I've seen seniors who struggled with recall suddenly sing every lyric of a favorite old tune. Playing music, humming along, or even learning a new instrument stimulates multiple parts of the brain at once. A retired gentleman I know took up the harmonica at 70. He joked that he was terrible at it, but he said, "My mind feels alive when I play." That's the power of rhythm and melody. Finally, let's talk about purpose. Having a reason to get up in the morning, something meaningful to you, is one of the strongest protectors of memory. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It could be tending to a small garden, caring for a pet, volunteering at your church, or helping a neighbor. One couple I know started volunteering at their local library after retirement. They told me, "Doctor, not only do we feel useful, but our minds feel sharper from the conversations and the activity." Purpose keeps the brain engaged, alert, and connected. So remember, your memory isn't just about biology, it's about lifestyle, environment, emotion, and purpose, all working together. Every small choice you make feeds into the health of your brain. One of the most fascinating things I share with my patients is how much the brain loves routine mental challenges. It doesn't have to be complicated. Something as simple as learning a new card game, practicing a crossword, or even trying out a new cooking recipe can wake up pathways in the brain that haven't been used in years. I remember a gentleman in his 70s who took up Sudoku after retirement. At first, he struggled and got frustrated, but after a few weeks, he told me, "Doctor, my concentration has improved, and I actually enjoy the challenge now." His wife even noticed that he seemed sharper in everyday conversations. Nutrition-wise, we can't forget about healthy fats. Many seniors have been told for years to avoid fat altogether, but the truth is that good fats, like those in avocados, olive oil, walnuts, and salmon, are crucial for brain health. They help maintain the structure of brain cells. I had a patient who switched from buttered toast in the morning to avocado toast. Within a couple of months, she noticed she felt more focused throughout her day. Sometimes a small swap makes a big difference. Now, let's bring in something we don't always connect to memory: balance and coordination. You might wonder, what does balance have to do with my brain? The answer is everything. Exercises that challenge your balance, like gentle yoga, tai chi, or even standing on one foot while brushing your teeth, strengthen the brain's ability to process spatial awareness. I know a retired firefighter who started tai chi at 68. Not only did his balance improve, but he told me he noticed his recall of directions and names also seemed sharper. The brain and body are deeply connected. Let's also talk about nature. Spending time outdoors has a remarkable effect on mental clarity. The sunlight helps regulate your sleep-wake cycle, the fresh air boosts oxygen intake, and the simple act of being surrounded by green space calms stress. I had a patient who made it a daily ritual to sit on her porch every morning with her coffee, listening to the birds. She told me, "Doctor, those quiet moments feel like medicine for my mind." And research supports her. Nature restores attention and focus. Another very practical tip is mindful multitasking, or rather, avoiding it. Many seniors feel distracted because they're trying to do too many things at once. Instead of folding laundry while talking on the phone and keeping an eye on the TV, choose one task, give it your full attention, and then move on. I once had a patient who constantly misplaced her mail. When she slowed down and made it a practice to sort her letters with full focus at the kitchen table, she stopped losing important papers and felt more in control of her day. Now, one of my favorite memory strengthening tools is storytelling. Sharing your life experiences with family or even writing them down engages memory in a deep way. A gentleman I worked with began writing short stories from his childhood for his grandchildren. He laughed and said, "Doctor, I'm surprised at how many details come back once I start writing." His brain was retrieving long forgotten memories and strengthening itself in the process. Lastly, let's touch on something very down to earth: consistency. None of these habits work if they're done once in a while. It's the daily choices, the repeated practices that build a strong foundation. Just as brushing your teeth protects your smile, nourishing your brain every day through movement, food, sleep, learning, and connection protects your memory. So if you've been feeling worried about forgetfulness, let me reassure you, your brain is not slipping away from you. It is waiting for you to nurture it, challenge it, and care for it. Each step you take strengthens not just your memory, but your independence, your confidence, and your joy in daily life. Another factor that often gets overlooked in brain health is medication. Many of my senior patients are on prescriptions for blood pressure, sleep, pain, or other chronic conditions. Sometimes the side effects of these medications can mimic memory problems, causing fogginess, confusion, or forgetfulness. That's why I always encourage regular reviews with your doctor or pharmacist. I remember a woman in her late 60s who was convinced she was developing dementia. When we reviewed her medications, we found that two of them were interacting in a way that made her drowsy and forgetful. After her doctor adjusted her prescription, she felt like herself again. So, if you're concerned about memory, don't forget to check your medications as part of the picture. Let's also discuss caffeine and alcohol. While a morning cup of coffee or tea can actually stimulate focus, too much caffeine can interfere with sleep. And as we said earlier, sleep is the foundation of memory. Alcohol, even in moderate amounts, can cloud thinking and reduce recall. I had a patient who enjoyed a couple of glasses of wine each evening. When she cut back to just a small glass twice a week, she noticed she felt clearer and her memory seemed more dependable. Sometimes balance, not elimination, is the key. Another area I like to emphasize is mindfulness. In our busy minds, we often rush through the day without really noticing what's happening around us. Practicing mindfulness, whether it's through prayer, meditation, or simply focusing on the present moment, teaches the brain to pay attention. And attention is the first step to memory. I had a patient who began practicing mindful eating, really focusing on the flavors and textures of her meals. She later told me, "Doctor, not only do I enjoy my food more, but I also find I'm remembering conversations and details better." That's the hidden power of slowing down. Now, let's talk about community involvement. Being engaged in your neighborhood, your church, or volunteer groups doesn't just bring joy, it also stimulates your memory. Why? Because you're interacting with people, processing new situations, and using your brain in meaningful ways. A retired school teacher I know started tutoring children in reading once a week. She told me, "It keeps me sharp and the kids give me energy." That kind of exchange nourishes both the heart and the mind. I also want to touch on technology in a different way. While reminders and calendars are useful, engaging with new technology itself can be a memory booster. Learning how to use a new smartphone feature, experimenting with a tablet, or even exploring social media can challenge the brain to adapt. One of my patients in his 70s joined an online photography group. At first, he struggled to upload pictures, but once he learned, he found himself more alert and excited about learning again. The act of adapting to new tools is exercise for the brain. And then there's creativity. Painting, knitting, gardening, woodworking, any activity that lets you create something with your own hands lights up multiple areas of the brain. One woman in her 80s began quilting. She told me, "Doctor, I lose track of time, but when I finish, I feel proud and more alive." Creative outlets give the brain both focus and reward, a perfect combination for memory strength. Finally, let me say this: perfection isn't required. You don't need to follow every tip I've shared. Even small steps like adding one new habit at a time can make a noticeable difference. I've seen patients improve their memory simply by committing to a daily walk, or by keeping a regular sleep schedule, or by practicing gratitude before bed. The key is consistency, not complexity. Remember, your brain is like a garden. If you water it, nourish it, and give it light, it will thrive. Neglect it, and it can wither. But the beautiful thing is, it's never too late to plant new seeds. Even in your 70s, 80s, or beyond, your brain is still capable of growth, renewal, and strength. One of the most inspiring things I've witnessed in my career is how the brain can respond when seniors embrace new learning, even later in life. I once had a patient, 82 years old, who decided she wanted to learn how to play the piano. At first, she struggled with the notes and the rhythm, but she kept at it, practicing a little each day. After 6 months, she could play simple songs, and she told me, "Doctor, I feel like my brain has woken up." That's the magic of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and grow at any age. It's proof that it's never too late to challenge yourself. Let's not forget about hydration in a broader sense. Beyond water, fluids like herbal teas, soups, and even water-rich foods like cucumbers and melons can help keep your brain hydrated. Dehydration often sneaks up on seniors because the sensation of thirst diminishes with age. I always remind my patients, don't wait until you're thirsty to drink. One man I worked with made it a routine to have a glass of water every time he checked his watch. That simple trick kept him hydrated and helped him stay mentally sharp. Another brain-friendly practice is limiting processed sugar. Sugar highs and crashes can leave your brain sluggish and your memory hazy. I remember a retired accountant who loved soda. He drank 2 cans a day and often complained of brain fog. When he gradually switched to sparkling water with lemon, he told me, "I can think more clearly, and I don't get that afternoon crash anymore." His memory benefited from a healthier blood sugar balance. I also want to touch on the importance of brain rest. Just like muscles need recovery after a workout, your brain needs downtime. This doesn't mean zoning out in front of the TV all day. It means intentional rest, like sitting quietly, practicing deep breathing, or enjoying nature without distraction. One woman in her 70s made it a daily practice to sit by her garden for 10 minutes without her phone, just listening to the wind and watching the flowers. She called it her brain reset, and she swore it made her more focused and alert afterward. Let's talk about pets too. Companionship from animals has been shown to lower stress, lift mood, and encourage routine, all of which support memory. I had a widower who adopted a small dog. He told me, "Doctor, taking care of him gives me structure, keeps me moving, and keeps me company." Over time, his memory and overall outlook improved. Pets can be medicine for the heart and the mind. Another point I stress is limiting negative self-talk. I've met many seniors who say, "Oh, I'm just getting old. My brain doesn't work anymore." But what you tell yourself matters. If you constantly reinforce that your memory is weak, your confidence decreases and your performance often follows. I encourage patients to reframe their words. Instead of saying, "I always forget names," try saying, "I'm working on remembering names better." That shift alone can improve focus and recall. Finally, don't underestimate small celebrations. Every time you successfully remember a name, learn a new fact, or stick to a healthy routine, acknowledge it. Those moments build confidence and remind you that your memory is not fading. It's strengthening. A patient of mine kept a little victory notebook, jotting down the things she remembered each day, from appointments to recipes. She told me it became her favorite part of the evening, and over time, her confidence in her memory grew. So, whether it's exercise, nutrition, learning, rest, or self-belief, then remember this: your brain thrives when you care for it with consistency and kindness. As we come to the end of this conversation, I want you to pause and take in just how much we've covered together. We've talked about the simple, everyday choices that protect your memory: staying active, nourishing your body with the right foods, getting quality sleep, keeping stress in check, connecting with others, learning new things, and finding joy in creativity, laughter, and purpose. None of these steps are complicated, and none of them require you to overhaul your life overnight. What matters most is choosing 1 or 2 changes that feel possible for you right now and trusting that those small steps will build into something powerful over time. I've seen it happen again and again. A gentleman in his 70s who started walking a few blocks each morning gradually worked his way up to a mile, and along the way he found not just better memory, but more energy to play with his grandchildren. A woman who began writing down a few blessings each evening discovered that gratitude sharpened her focus during the day and lifted her spirits at night. These aren't just medical strategies, they're real tools for real people, and they can work for you too. I want you to remember that memory is not just about holding on to facts or details, it's about holding on to your independence, your confidence, and the joy of living fully. Think about what it means to wake up in the morning feeling clear, remembering the names of friends, recalling the stories you want to share with loved ones, and staying present in the moments that matter most. That is what these habits are protecting for you. And the beauty is, it's never too late to start. Whether you're 55, 65, or well into your 80s, your brain can still respond to care, challenge, and love. So I encourage you to see yourself not as someone losing memory, but as someone strengthening it, day by day, step by step. Each glass of water you drink, each puzzle you solve, each laugh you share with a friend is an investment in the future of your mind. Hold on to that hope, because your best days of clarity and confidence can still be ahead of you. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I know your days are busy, and it means a great deal that you chose to sit with me and care for your health in this way. I hope you leave this video not just with information, but with encouragement and a renewed sense of possibility for your memory and your life. As you go about your week, carry these ideas with you. Try one small step. Maybe it's a short walk, maybe it's calling a friend, maybe it's turning off the TV a little earlier so you can rest. Whatever it is, know that you're moving in the right direction. And remember, you are not alone on this journey. There are so many others right here in this community who are walking the same path and cheering you on. If today's message spoke to you, I'd love for you to join this growing family. You can do that by liking this video, sharing your thoughts in the comments, or subscribing so you never miss the next conversation we'll have together. Every little bit of engagement helps more seniors find the encouragement they need. Until we meet again, I wish you peace, strength, and good health. Keep taking care of yourself because your life and your memory are precious. I look forward to talking with you again soon. God bless and take care.